Are you looking for the best intermittent fasting advice out there? This video is gonna give you the top 10 tips for intermittent fasting. First of all, before I begin, I have to say that there isn't this one single piece of advice that's best for intermittent fasting because we have different circumstances, we have different goals, and what's optimal for you isn't gonna be optimal for me. However, there are definitely these guidelines and tips that I think are kind of universals and they do apply to everyone.
Guidelines than actual rules.
Number 1, fix your diet before you start fasting. If you were to stop everything that you're doing and just start fasting, then you would be pretty fine. You're not gonna die and you may improve your health. But in a lot of the cases, most people's diets aren't fully optimized and they have so much room for improvement already. If you've been eating a crappy diet for a while, then your first concern shouldn't be intermittent fasting because you'll have a much more difficult time doing it. You'll also get more detox symptoms like nausea, headaches, diarrhea, vomiting, etc. To actually get through the initial phases of adaptation, then you want to clean up your diet as soon as possible so that you would have a better time and easier time doing it. Number 2, make intermittent fasting sustainable. Don't think of intermittent fasting as a crash diet or a quick way to lose a bunch of weight. That kind of a mentality will create behavioral issues and eating disorders. Instead of being this all or nothing faster, you should think of how do you make it more sustainable and part of your long-term lifestyle. Most people are doing either the 16 and 8 fasting, warrior diet, or 1 meal a day. Those are great examples of sustainable and consistent fasting routines. Number 3, frequent long fasts. However, it's still a good idea to have these longer fasts quite frequently. If you were to fast for 10 days once a year and eat regularly the rest of the year, you'll end up with only 10 days of fasting. If you were to have a 3-day fast every quarter of the year, you'll end up with 12 days of fasting. If you were to have a 48-hour fast every week or two, you'll end up with 30 to 50 days of fasting. Slightly shorter but more frequent 48 to 72-hour fasts are more effective and they're more sustainable than these super long 7 to 10 day fasts that you can't really do that often.
Can't do it.
Number 4, electrolytes while doing longer fasts. When you are doing these longer fasts, then it's a good idea to have an additional source of electrolytes. In general, per 24 hours of fasting, you need about 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of sodium, 25 to 4,000 milligrams of potassium, and 400 to 500 milligrams of magnesium. But I don't think that is needed to count exactly how much you're getting, and you should adjust your requirements based on your activity levels and sweating. On shorter daily fasts like 16 to 20 hours, electrolytes aren't inherently needed because it's such a short fast, but you do want to get them from food. Number 5, optimize your sleep. Getting enough quality sleep is a lot more important than fasting. Most of the benefits of fasting take effect during deep sleep, such as growth hormone and autophagy. If your sleep quality begins to suffer because of getting too stressed out because of fasting, drinking too much coffee while fasting, eating too close to bedtime, or suffering from insomnia, then it's not worth it. The key is to optimize your circadian rhythm by getting exposure to sunlight during the daytime, avoiding blue light at night, and not drinking caffeine in the afternoon. Exercising too close to bedtime can also keep you up at night. Number 6, go for longer walks while fasting. Being in a fasted state already puts you into deeper ketosis, which makes fatty acids your primary fuel source. Walking is a low-intensity exercise that uses only fat for fuel already. That combo of fasting, ketosis plus walking is a great way to burn more fat. Walking is also so low intensity that it's not going to fry your nervous system such as HIIT or weights do.
Not so fast.
Number 7, don't become addicted to coffee. There's a common tendency for a lot of people who are doing intermittent fasting to become addicted to caffeine and other stimulants. It does stimulate autophagy, promotes ketosis, increases metabolic rate, and protects against Alzheimer's, but only in the right dose. You don't want to drink coffee after 2 p.m. because the caffeine will stay in your bloodstream until the evening and interferes with sleep. Drinking coffee immediately after waking up isn't optimal either because you'll interfere with the natural release of cortisol. Number 8, don't underfeed yourself. Fasting doesn't slow down your metabolism by itself. In fact, 48 hours of fasting can actually raise it by 3 to 14%. Metabolic adaptation occurs because of crash dieting, prolonged periods of low-calorie intakes, overtraining, low thyroid function, and just eating too little food. Fasting itself doesn't affect this directly, but if you're fasting and eating too little calories, then of course your metabolism will eventually get slower. You can easily avoid that by keeping your calories higher and just eating the same amount of food in a smaller window. For fat loss, you still need to be creating a caloric deficit in some way, but you shouldn't drop your calories extremely low and stay there for too long, because it will just slow down your metabolism. That's why it's important to still nourish yourself if you break the fast, and also have refeed periods. Number 9. Become keto adapted. To prevent muscle catabolism, brain fog, and hunger cravings, you want to get into ketosis while fasting as soon as possible. It's just going to make things much easier. Keto adaptation refers to your body's ability to swap in and out of ketosis and use fat as a source of energy. It's not the same as being in ketosis, but you would need to spend significant amount of time in ketosis to become keto adapted. You don't have to be eating a full-on strict ketogenic diet to become keto adapted, but to maintain keto adaptation, you need to be practicing some form of intermittent fasting and at least controlling your carb intake strategically.
Strategery.
Number 10. Do resistance training. Muscle mass is incredibly important for longevity and anti-aging. Many age-related diseases are linked to muscle loss. Having more muscle will make it easier to lose weight, do your daily activities, be more insulin sensitive, have more confidence, and feel better. If you're just fasting and not doing resistance training, then you'll end up losing lean muscle tissue because fasting is a catabolic stressor. You need to counterbalance that with enough anabolism and stimulus for muscle growth. Otherwise, you may experience accelerated sarcopenia in which your muscle tissue gets swapped out with fat. The most important thing you should keep in mind is how do you make intermittent fasting more sustainable and fit your lifestyle. It doesn't matter if you fast really hard and then quit, and at the same time it doesn't matter if you're fasting in a wrong way that kind of jeopardizes all of your efforts. If you want to learn more about optimizing and making intermittent fasting sustainable for muscle growth, fat loss, and longevity, then check out my book Metabolic Autophagy. But other than that, thanks for watching this video. Make sure you click the like, subscribe, notification bell as well. My name is Seem. Stay sustainable, stay empowered.